This program was first broadcast on Canterbury's access media station, Plains FM, and was made with the assistance of New Zealand On Air.
Welcome to your weekly dose of the Accountology Show. I'm your host and chartered accountant, Nicole Haig, with an insatiable curiosity for uncovering accounting ideas to help businesses grow. I have so many nuggets of gold to share. Are you ready to make your good business great? Let's get stuck right in. Hey, it's your host Nicole Haig and welcome to another episode of the Accountology Show. In accounting news, the past decade has shown that monetary policy is not the only tool available when it comes to controlling inflation. So monetary policy addresses interest rates and the supply of money in circulation and is generally managed by a central bank such as the Reserve Bank in New Zealand. Fiscal policy, on the other hand, addresses taxation and government spending, and it is generally determined by government legislation. Disinflation, which is being the reduction of the rate of inflation, is progressing in the UK and the US. In fact, in May, the UK reached the 2% inflation milestone for the first time in 3 years. This indicates that central banks are at the tail end of their 3-year battle with pricing raging. The next move for interest rates is only down. The question looming is how far and how fast. Former chair for the US Federal Reserve, Ben Bernanke, and former chief economist at the International Monetary Fund, Oliver Blanchard, have updated a joint research paper that looks at the causes and consequences of the most recent inflationary episodes using data provided by 10 central banks. Their conclusion is that the central banks have weathered the inflationary crisis with their credibility intact, which is due to measures of future inflation expectations among financial markets and households remaining contained throughout the past 3 years. Bernanke and Blanchard attributed this to higher credibility of monetary policy, compared with previous inflationary eras such as the 1970s, where monetary policy was not independent of government. Globally, if you look at monetary policy and what has been communicated about it, this would lead you to a contradictory question to Bernanke and Blanchard's report of how much did the central banks really have their credibility intact after weathering the inflationary crisis? The focal point of inflation expectations rests on the unquestionable belief that future prices help determine today's behaviour, meaning that if a consumer thinks that high inflation will get worse, they will bid up the purchase to compensate. And we certainly saw that during the peak of this inflationary period in New Zealand, where home purchasers were bidding up the value of properties due to FOMO, fear of missing out, and the subsequent thought that the price of houses will only get worse, reinforcing a price spiral, which is a situation in which wage and price increases drive each other upward and cause inflation. Conversely, if the consumer thinks the central bank or the Reserve Bank in New Zealand, in this case, will bring down price growth, they are less likely to bid higher to compensate, in turn helping contain what is known as second-round effects. Second-round effects occur when agents pass on the inflationary impact, the direct or indirect effects to wage and price setting, potentially leading to a wage price spiral. Consumers are right to point the finger at governments who do have a role ensuring no repeat of the shockflation that upset economies this decade. If governments are being blamed, they have a responsibility to ensure price controls in key sectors of the economy that matter most to households, such as creating buffer stocks of food, energy and raw materials to protect against future supply shocks. In short, governments will need to prepare for future shockflation. Are you a business owner struggling with profit, cash flow, or to find balance between work and life? At Nicole Haig & Associates, we want to help business owners just like you reclaim your freedom. Freedom to spend quality time with loved ones, freedom from stress, and freedom from financial burdens. But how do we do it? It's simple. We listen, we understand, and we create bespoke, structured programs tailored to your unique business and personal goals. With the right education, coaching, and expert advice, we'll show you how to increase profits, improve cash flow, and align your business and personal goals. Don't do it alone. Let NH+A be your guide to success. Work smarter, not harder, with our proven accountability methods. Your freedom starts here. Contact us today. Ever wondered why some people seem to have it all together, squeezing the most out of every single day, while others are constantly scrambling, wishing that there were more hours in the day? The secret lies not in some magical time-bending ability, but in how they manage the time they have. In this episode, we'll investigate common mistakes and the top 10 time wasters to avoid for business owners, where we will cover setting clear goals, decluttering your workspace, beating procrastination, managing interruptions, effective delegation, and saying no, which is the power. So let's get stuck right in. We all have the same 1,440 minutes every day, but some of us seem to pack way more into them than others do. And how do they do it? And that's the magic trick of freeing up time so we can run a better business and, let's be honest, lead a happier life. Spoiler alert, it's all about cutting out the fluff and focusing on what really matters. Are you struggling with disruptions, shifting priorities, and frustrating rework? You need to streamline your processes and boost your efficiency. So let's dive into the top 10 time wasters and how you can kick them to the curb. The first one is lack of clear goals. So start by setting clear 12-month goals, then break these down into 90-day goals. Your actions each day should be steps towards achieving those 90-day goals, which will ultimately lead to the achievement of your 12-month goals. In previous episodes, we've discussed the importance of an annual business plan, and none so more than now, to help with planning your year, your months, and your days. The second is a messy desk. Desk clutter results in mind clutter, so tidy your workspace each day before you leave so you don't arrive in a mess. Also consider how paperless you are. Paper does become clutter. Not only your desk, but your surrounds need to be clean and clear. Then you can breathe with a sense of ease, not that tight chest feeling and anxiety when the mess becomes overwhelming. The third is procrastinating and shifting priorities. So spend a few minutes planning tomorrow's tasks before you leave for the day, or planning today's tasks as soon as you arrive in. Avoid unnecessary pick up and put down. Multitasking is a productivity myth. Use time blocking activities or techniques to allocate dedicated time slots for specific tasks or projects, ensuring focused and uninterrupted work periods. I do this all the time. So I book in meetings in my diary, I book phone calls in my diary, I book all of my personal time in my diary. Otherwise, it will never happen. As well as booking in when I'm working on jobs, make sure you block it out in the calendar. Then it gets done. When you're working on a job, turn your distractions such as emails and social media off. So speaking of that is the fourth tip, interruptions from humans and technology. Set clear parameters to reduce your distractions. For example, turn off your email and phone notifications. When I'm working on a job, I clear my emails 3 times a day. So I do it in the morning, at lunchtime, and before I leave for the day. Being on call to your emails result in you never being able to complete a task fully. And if it's urgent, they'll call or tap your shoulder. The fifth is ineffective delegation and abdication. Ensure you give clear instructions when delegating tasks and empower others to do more for you. Responsibility still falls on you. Without a clear process, you are setting someone up to fail, which will ultimately reflect badly only on you. Number 6 is ineffective systems. Mistakes are often attributable to ineffective systems, so involve your team and lean up processes where possible. Eliminate systems that don't add value. Implement new systems that aid efficiency. The 7th is the inability to say no. So we are defined not just by what we say yes to, but what we say no to. Planning helps us to say no to things that don't align with our purpose and goal. And no is a complete sentence. The 8th is ineffective meetings. Ensure every meeting has a purpose, an agenda, and clear objectives. Don't stray from the agenda. Refer to the purpose if you're getting off track. Record clear outcomes and next steps in meeting minutes. And don't have meetings for the sake of meetings. Number 9 is ineffective email use. So think twice before playing email tennis. Ask yourself if a phone call would be more efficient so you don't find yourself constantly checking for a reply. I will often say to people, what time does it suit for me to call you? And I put that time in the diary, and then we've got that time to discuss and flesh out whatever that conversation might be. The last one is poor planning. Effective planning has 3 key components: a one-page plan with goals, KPIs, and required actions, regularly reporting to ensure continuous improvement, and accountability. Okay, so let's move on to 5 common accounting mistakes and how to avoid them. So starting a business can be a challenging experience, right? Especially when it comes to managing your numbers and staying on top of your financial management. Unless you've got some experience in finance, then the bookkeeping and accounting requirements can be quite daunting. And even with today's helpful cloud accounting platforms such as Xero, there's always the possibility of making a simple accounting mistake. These systems are only as good as the user entering the information. So, what are the most common accounting mistakes made by business owners that we have seen? And what can you do to avoid these pitfalls and keep your finances looking healthy and shipshape? So these are the top 5 that we see, and the top 5 accounting mistakes to avoid. Doing the books is unlikely to be your favorite part of running any business, right? But the better you know your accounting and your know-how and skills, the more oversight you have over the financial path and future success of your company. It really is that simple. But there are plenty of traps that an owner can fall into. The first one is mixing your personal and business finances. When you don't separate your personal and business transaction, this blurs the lines and makes it difficult to track your income and expenses accurately. It can also lead to personal spending being counted as business deductions when in actual fact they're not, causing tax issues later on. The solution? Open separate bank accounts for both your personal and your business and keep them entirely separate and distinct. Maybe take a certain amount out as drawings per week and transfer that from your business to your personal account, and then all your personal transactions come from that personal bank account. The second is skipping the record keeping process. If you fail to keep receipts, log your invoices and keep proper records, this can be a major problem further down the road. Detailed records are crucial for tax filing, budgeting, and identifying spending trends. So the solution? Keep digital copies of all receipts and be sure to keep your bookkeeping up to date and well managed. Xero does this really well with their expense app. The third is miscategorizing your expenses. Throwing all your expenses under miscellaneous makes it far harder to analyze your spending and your cash flow. With every item of expenditure logged under a specific code from your chart of accounts, you can quickly run reports, review your spending, and look at ways to improve budgets and cash flow. The solution? Categorize your expenses properly to put them into rent, for instance, or marketing or supplies to understand where your money goes. The fourth is winging it when filing your taxes. Taxation is complicated and it's easy to make costly mistakes if you're not prepared and organized. So don't wait until tax season to sort everything out and make sure you're aware of all your business tax liabilities. The solution? Set aside funds for taxes throughout the year. We recommend setting up a separate bank account and transferring funds from your everyday account over for your provisional tax, your GST, etc. So then you know you've got it there. And consider consulting an accountant or tax advisor to ensure you're filing correctly and taking advantage of all potential government deductions and tax incentives. The last is failing to get proper accounting advice. So if you are managing your finances and it becomes overwhelming, don't be a hero. Cloud accounting software can automate some of the key tasks, and a bookkeeper can handle day-to-day record keeping. But don't forget to talk to your accountant early on. Getting tax wrong will be so much more expensive than the investment into good advice. The solution? Think about outsourcing and partnering with an experienced accounting firm to get real peace of mind and improve financial management. You didn't start your business to spend hours working on your bookkeeping and accounts, right? Why not outsource your key accounting tasks to your accountant and put those hours back into your business so you can work on your business and not in it? Your accountant can help you by showing you how to clearly separate your business and personal finances. Set up your bookkeeping to be as streamlined and automated and efficient as possible. Show you the best software tools and processes for managing your expenses. become your tax agent and take care of all the complex tax filing tasks, and provide reporting, management information, and advice to guide your decision making. Okay, so let's have a look at delegation versus abdication. So are you an effective delegator? Do you ever get to the end of the workday and wonder where the time went? You barely dented your list, let alone completed it. Delegation is a great way to free up time, pass projects to team members, new employees, and outsource. But I hear you say, is it really that simple? Okay, so the art of delegation, and I say art because delegation is not an exact science. Different approaches are needed depending on who's tackling your task. Delegating work effectively requires effort and time, I'm afraid to say. The initial time invested to hand over the task is greater than if you simply did the job yourself. This "it's faster to do myself" mindset is a productivity trap. It often prevents the development of new and better methods. If you teach someone your way, then they can master it and add their own value. They're also likely to appreciate the opportunity for personal development and be more engaged in their role. Delegation must not be confused with abdication. You are still ultimately responsible for the task, but responsibility and doing are not the same. Here are some differences between delegation and abdication. So what does abdication look like? It looks like this. Issue tasks to anyone and forget about it. This causes distrust and lack of respect. Give unclear or little information. Giving free rein typically causes poor ongoing communication and lots of assumptions. Assume the team member immediately understood the task and the expectations. This causes procrastination, rework, and low productivity. Don't set a time frame. This causes delays and budget blowouts. And don't review the outcomes. This causes resentment and increases the likelihood of future mistakes and issues. So what does delegation look like on the other hand? Assess the task, assign the right person, and support them. This will build trust and respect. Communicate clearly and specifically using language and methods that resonate with the individual. This will build a stronger connection. Request the team member repeat back instructions to ensure they have clarity. This will minimize procrastination and rework and increase productivity. Set a clear time frame and request notification when the task is complete. This increases the likelihood of the task being completed on time. And review outcomes with the team member, taking time to discuss what went well and what could be improved upon and will improve future outcomes for everyone involved. So what do you need to do? You need to create your delegation to-do list, which tasks could I delegate? Who could I delegate them to? Ensure that these tasks are part of their career development. What training is needed? What's expected of each task? And what's the best process? So what systems could be created? And how can I support for improved productivity? Are weekly check-ins required to ensure success? And as Andrew Carnegie said, no person will make a great business who wants to do it all himself or get all the credit. Delegation is a skill you can learn. It's also an investment into your people and your time freedom. I would suggest getting in touch with your accountant if you're interested in improving your systems for a more productive and profitable business. Okay, so let's talk about the Achiever Matrix. This is a great way to start your delegation process, especially if you feel you are constantly fighting fires in your business and knowing that not all urgent tasks are important. The Achiever Matrix helps you prioritize tasks based on their importance. And we've talked about this in a previous episode, but let's have a quick recap in case you missed it. The Achiever Matrix is made up of 4 quadrants and helps you prioritize tasks based upon their importance, which allows you to manage your time better and achieve more. The first quadrant is quadrant 1, the quadrant of urgency. This quadrant represents tasks that are both urgent and important. These tasks must be handled with unhappy customers, meeting a deadline, dealing with a crisis, or undertaking urgent rework, for instance. While we must all spend some time in Q1, many of these activities were important before they became urgent through procrastination or lack of planning and risk management. Quadrant 2 is the quadrant of quality. These are the tasks that are important but not urgent. These tasks relate to planning, anticipating and minimizing problems, empowering others, building relationships, and developing skills. Ignoring tasks in this quadrant will increase the size of Q1 as those important but not urgent tasks become urgent over time. On the other hand, investing time in Q2 will reduce the size of Q1. We must focus on the tasks in Q2 and spend most of our time working here. Quadrant 3 is a quadrant of deception. So these are tasks that are urgent but not important. The noise of urgency creates an illusion of importance, but the activities within this quadrant are usually only important to someone else. These can include phone calls, meetings, emails, and of course drop-in visitors. We often end up spending a lot of time in this quadrant, meeting the needs of others while fooling ourselves that we're working in Q1. Tasks in Q3 should be delegated to others where possible to free up your time so you can work in Q2. And quadrant 4 is the quadrant of waste. These are the tasks which are not urgent and not important. These might include junk emails, some phone calls, time wasters, and busy work. We know we shouldn't spend any time at all in this quadrant, but sometimes we get weary from being tossed between quadrants 1 and 3, so we escape to quadrant 4 for time out. Q4 is not about survival, it's deterioration. It may initially feel nice, but it's empty time and ultimately not satisfying. Let me ask you this. Which quadrant did you spend most of the time in over the past week? Most people hang out a lot in Q3, the quadrant of deception. The cost of letting urgency drive you is that you're not spending time on the quality tasks that are improving your business. The best way to free up your time to work in Q2, remember the quadrant of quality, and tasks that are important but not urgent, is to review your Q3, urgent but not important activities. These tasks may appear important at first glance, but how important are they really? Reclaim time lost to the deception of urgency and spend that time in the quadrant of quality. I suggest setting up this matrix for a week. Keep track of all your tasks and add them to the correct quadrant without any judgment. Then at the end of the week, review the quadrants and work out your list of what needs to be delegated. Now, the Achiever Matrix has been adapted from Stephen Covey's, author of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. In our super busy lives, managing time effectively is crucial to achieving success and happiness. We all have the same 1,440 minutes each day, and how we use them makes all the difference. By addressing the common time wasters we have mentioned in today's episode, you can reclaim your time, boost your business efficiency, and enjoy a more balanced life. Identify your top 3 time wasters, take action to minimize them, and make the most of your 1,440 minutes each day. Happy time saving. Okay, 3 action points for you to take away from today's episode to help you start on reclaiming your time and boosting productivity. The first is set clear goals. Define your 12-month goals, break them down into manageable 90-day objectives. Align your daily tasks with these objectives to ensure consistent progress towards your goals. The second is minimize distractions. Identify your biggest sources of distractions, whether it's email notifications, social media, or interruptions from colleagues. Take proactive steps to minimize these distractions, such as turning off notifications during focused work periods or setting specific times for email and social media check-ins. And lastly, prioritize tasks and time blocking. By using the Achiever Matrix, you can prioritize your tasks based on urgency and importance, focusing on high-impact activities that will align with your goals. And delegate, not abdicate. Use time blocking techniques to allocate dedicated time slots for specific tasks or projects, ensuring focused and uninterrupted work periods. And if there's one aha moment and one thing that you should take away from this conversation today, it should be the importance of intentional focus. In a world filled with distractions and competing demands for our attention, being deliberate about where we direct our time and energy is crucial. Whether it's setting clear goals, minimizing distractions, or prioritizing tasks, the key is to stay focused on what truly matters to you and your goals. By cultivating intentional focus, you can unlock your full potential, achieve greater productivity, and lead a more fulfilling life. Thanks for joining us on the Accountology Show. If you have enjoyed today's show, you're in luck because we'll be back next week. You'll find past episodes at plainsfm.org.nz and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or Spotify to never miss an episode. We would love it if you would leave a 5-star review and tell a friend or business owner who would benefit from hearing our show. We also love hearing from you, so reach out with any comments or a topic you'd like covered, and even suggestions for whom we should get in the studio next for an interview. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn and TikTok. Our handle is NH Plus Associates, that's NHPLUS Associates, or email me, nicole@nh-a.co.nz. But most importantly, thank you for taking the time to listen to the show. Until next time, keep building that business into the empire it absolutely deserves to be.